Good morning, everyone, or good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you're based in the world. I'm happy to welcome you to the A4Q World Congress. Also, I'm very happy to greet Tomasz today. He will hold a presentation, and I'm happy to have you here, and I'm excited to hear your presentation. And now I'm handing over to you. Thank you for being here today.
Thanks a lot, Jelena, and nice to meet you, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Let me share my video. So please let me know whether you can see my screen. I believe yes. So once again, hello everyone. My name is Tomasz Prus, and I'm a content design manager at Atlassian. I used to be a global documentation manager at companies like Unit4, Nokia networks. I used to be a technical writer as well. Currently, I'm a lecturer at Wroclaw University and co-organizer of Meet Content Meetup in Poland, but I'm also an ITCQF trainer. Privately, I'm a husband, proud dad of 2, and also football maniac and coffee addict. So first of all, I'm gonna bust some myths about documentation, because documentation, people tend to say documentation is like Yeti. Everyone's heard, nobody saw. And people tend to say also that no one reads it anyway, because it doesn't bring any value and it's not helpful. And when you work in agile documentation, in agile software development, you probably know Agile Manifesto, working software over comprehensive documentation. So for many people, it means no documentation at all. Many people tend to say writing documentation is very easy because it's just copy and paste. But is that really true? What do we actually mean by documentation? I always try to divide it into 2 parts. Internal documents, everything you share inside your organization, inside your company, which covers designs, specifications, or Teams documentation. But what is more important, and this will be my focus today, external documentation, customer-facing documents like process documentation, training materials, and product documentation, because this talk is about product documentation and the importance of standards and standardization in this field. But why do we really bother? If you ask this question, I have a really simple equation that can answer all your doubts. Because lack or bad documentation means more queries from your customers, and more queries from customers means more work for R&D, more work for customer support, basically more work for your team. And more work, it means less time for creativity, less time for fun stuff. So maybe it's worth to invest a little bit of time and think about documentation, whether it's important or not. Because who actually designs, who creates documentation in your organization, in your company? After discussing this topic with many different fields, many different people from different fields, I realized that it's not always the same role involved in this activity. We call people creating documentations in many companies call subject matter experts, and they can be product managers, marketing managers, sometimes project managers, or even testers and developers. But what we observe during last couple of years is a growing role of content creators called technical writers, UX writers, or content designers. We see that people with skills, people having skills like product knowledge, language skills as well, can present complex ideas in a very easy to understand manner. They just reduce the complexity of the content and they present it in a very clear and simple language. They always digest, filters, and in many times removes unnecessary information and delivers only what is needed for the end users. Why they are good in their roles? Because they have a bigger picture. They understand the product. They don't look only at one feature, but have understanding of a bigger, complex machinery, I would say. I call technical writers, I call us a bridge between R&D, research and development, and customers. And the reason why I do that is technical writers have that empathy. They can put themselves into customer shoes, understand their problems, and solve them, give them a little bit of more understanding and empathy. I must say, in many times we see skills technical writers have are also relevant to improve designs, to identify problems in the development phase, which is also a big asset. So who benefits from documentation? An obvious reader or audience is end user. End user in many different fields, in many different areas. But apart from end users, we have also people working in our companies, in our organizations. So let's name marketing specialists, product managers, quality assurance engineers. I hope we have many of them in this call. Salespeople and technical consultants, support specialists, or programmers, developers, but also trainers and translators. So many different roles, many different people from various industries and various fields. But is a role of technical writer that great and they live in glory all the time? Not necessarily. They also have challenges. For example, they don't know their audience because they work, I would say, they work distant from the customers. There is a barrier between them and end users, so they cannot actually talk to them face to face in many times. New people have no idea how to localize and translate their content. They don't know guidelines, they don't know style guides, they simply have no idea about standards. The same thing when it comes to tools. People, especially new technical writers in the field, don't know how to use tools properly and efficiently. They have no idea how to automate their work or how to publish their content. And they have many challenges in communicating with people. They have no idea how to get the information, how to process that information, or sometimes they don't even know their organization, so they have no idea who can help them. So I, as a documentation manager, was in that position as well a few years ago, working in an ERP software industry, in an ERP software company that had two leading products. I must say, two different products with 5 development centers located in Europe, UK, and United States. I had a team of 14 technical writers. 4 of them were very experienced, 10 of them pretty new to the field. Teams were collocated as well, and we had over 50 Scrum teams. Some of them were feature teams, some of them were responsible for the maintenance, but there were many teams working on various areas. We had hundreds of customers and thousands of end users, and there was a really strong need for standardization in the documentation area because, as I mentioned, those products were slightly different. So before I started to look for a solution to my problems, to problems many people identified and talked about, I started to investigate and I started to analyze what are the problems. So we run an audit, a content audit, and identified several challenges, several problems. For example, there were multiple processes and they were not unified. Some of them were really, really complex, involving many people many times. There were so many documentation types and various quality issues, some of them pretty simple to solve and some of them really complex. There was a big volume of legacy content and nobody knew what to do with that legacy content. Translation approach wasn't structured. So for many products, we have slightly different steps. And that caused actually many manual work for my team. And there were multiple communication hiccups. So problems with communicating deadlines, communication issues with product managers, with development teams, problems with coordinating certain development work. So while looking for a solution, I was investigating many different options available in Poland, where I came from, in Europe and in United States. But I found International Technical Communication Qualifications Foundation, ITCQF. And to me, that organization has really strong theory and solid syllabus that convinced me. They offered a really practical approach. And this was very, very important to me. As I mentioned, my team wasn't very experienced. And even having this experienced trainer was a huge asset because I was looking for somebody who could motivate and inspire my people to do some additional steps. They, at that time, were recognized in Central and Eastern Europe, issued many certificates already. And I think the most important thing was a strong focus, strong IT focus. So they have really strong expertise in the software industry and IT. And last but not least, best value for the price. Definitely, they fulfilled all my requirements, and I decided to invest. The whole training and certification was very successful because ITCQF was very responsive, so we were able to set up trainings very quickly for Poland and Spain, so 2 different sites. And I invested around 7,000 euros in trainings and certification for 10 technical writers. And I estimated, after all, the cost of internal or onboarding to 20,000 euros. So you can see with this graphic that it was really worth it. And besides the price, so when you compare the price, it's not all, because training gave me lots of benefits. Thanks to the training, we learned a lot about unified approach to certain processes like planning, review, publication, and maintenance. So we improved communication flow with main stakeholders, and we reduced the number of documentation types from 11 to 4, which was a very significant number. We established clear ownership and responsibilities for key processes. We increased visibility for the team and boosted employee satisfaction. I must say that the last point is extremely important, especially for employees, because in many cases, like a physical evidence of their skills and expertise is the only factor for them to stand out and be visible in the market. How does it look from trainee perspective? Because I was also one of them. So ITCQF is training is performed as a 2 days course covering six main chapters: fundamentals, documentation types, process, design management, and tools. And as I mentioned, it's run by experienced professionals. So they actually mix theory and practical examples. In my training, there was a possibility to ask many questions, have open discussions, and work in groups, which was also very beneficial because it actually integrated the team even more. ITCQF was offered at that time as a classroom training, but now it's also offered as a virtual classroom. And after the training, you can have a remote examination. Many of you can see obvious similarities between ITCQF and ISTQB. And that's nothing bad, because actually those certification programs are similar in many ways. For example, structure of the syllabus, format of those trainings, clearly define examination paths as well, and even same exams providers. So you can see it's pretty similar, I would say. Last but not least, my personal ITCQF journey. So as a manager seeking training for a team, I was very much interested in finding a good organization that not only provides training, but also offers some expertise in the field. And I found ITCQF. I was certified technical writer after the course. I have my own certificate, as you can see. And I was so much impressed with the whole organization and content that at some point in time I asked ITCQF organization whether I could be one of them. And here I am. I'm now ITCQF trainer, offering courses in Polish and English. So I recommend ITCQF to anyone especially from the software industry, but from many other industries. You can always also benefit from the training and examination. And basically, that's it from me. If you need any more information about ITCQF, you can find them on the slide. You can see the website address, phone number, office address as well. Find us also in social media, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. Visit our website. And that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tomasz, for the interesting presentation and insight into ITCQF. Earlier, you said that you will be available at the ITCQF booth at the Virtual Congress Hall. So check out the website, a4qworldcongress.com. You will find a button there where you can enter the Virtual Congress Hall, and you could talk to Tomasz and many other exhibitors from all over the world. And yeah, the audience was happy. We did receive multiple likes. People were watching continuously. For now, they didn't have any questions. So I can leave you running to the Virtual Congress Hall. And I'm happy to have you here today and that you were able to join us. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, and thanks for having me here.
Okay, thank you. Goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye.